Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of She Rises Studios podcast. My name is Hanna, Olivas, and I am here today with the amazing Adriana Luna, and we are going to talk to you about the invisible cost of building an empire.
What nobody tells you about entrepreneurship, family, and sacrifice and success.
I'm so ready for this.
Well, I want to know, first of all, why did you want to talk about this topic?
Because it's something that we never share. Like, what did it cost us to get where we are today? What is it still costing us to get where we're going tomorrow?
And that we actually do talk about it, but just like not publicly all the time. So it feels like it is a constant thing. Whether we're doing it on purpose or not, we definitely talk about it.
This might be a therapy session for some of you.
Some things might hit you guys a little bit stronger than it normally would, just because maybe you've seen the other effects from the other side.
We always talk about like the fun stuff, right? The launches, the in-person events, ribbon cuttings, magazine covers. Ooh, what about book launches? Like, we always talk about these book launches. We're so excited. We share all the milestones. But what are some of the things that we really don't talk about that actually costs to build something that matters?
So some of the things we're going to talk about is the obvious, the financial costs. We're going to talk about the emotional costs, the family, leadership. We'll talk about the successes that no one really knows, some hidden successes. So I guess we'll just have some fun. Where do you want to start?
Oh, the sleepless nights.
The sleepless nights. So the daily days. Okay, got it.
The day-to-day sleepless nights. Like, can you turn your like creativity off? Or is your hamster wheel like always going? Because mine is like, I
think it just depends. I've gotten better at turning it off ever since August last year when I had my health scare. So it's like that did make a very pivotal change in how I process things and what I prioritize. So if you asked me that previously to that, I would say no, it never turned off.
Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about August 12th? I know you recently shared it and went public.
I wouldn't even know how to exactly summarize it other than there was just a lot of stuff kind of happening health-wise that I wasn't really in control of. At least I didn't think I was in control of it. And I didn't know what was happening other than I was struggling in all the ways that someone struggles. It was due to me not taking care of my diabetes, basically, and not being fully knowledgeable of how much it can impact your day-to-day. And I just was getting increasingly symptomatic to stuff to the point to where I felt so groggy in the morning, very little energy. I would say very irritable too.
I would say.
She's like, I would say. I can attest to that. A lot of symptoms that I can't even like. I think I might have suppressed it a little bit, but it was just a lot of stuff happening all the time. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, this is exhausting. And there were so many nights where I was getting palpitations. I felt the flutters in my chest, and I started to check my blood pressure. And when I checked my blood pressure, it was so high. And I kept checking it every 15 minutes, and they say, don't do that because, you get yourself nervous. But the point was, it wasn't that I was making myself nervous. I was actually having some sort of an episode. Mm-hmm. So I am not the type of person that calls the ambulance. I did that day. I asked at the time, my husband, which is now my ex, and my dad, like, hey, should I call them? And they were just kind of clueless. They didn't really understand what was going on. So I just advocated for myself, made the call. The paramedics came in and they looked at me kind of like, something's definitely going on, but we can't diagnose you here. So it's up to you if you want us to take you in. And then that started the first day of a 2 to 3 day trip in the hospital. The next day I woke up and felt cognitive decline, and I couldn't really function right, couldn't think right. My face was feeling numb. So I ended up going back to the hospital. I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but long story short, I thought I was having a stroke. Mm-hmm. I wasn't. They didn't find anything. And then I ended up taking almost 3 weeks off, but definitely at least 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And that's when the mental shift changed, where I was like, I need to take care of myself. And it meant making sacrifices that I didn't think I needed to make. But here we are.
And the reason why I asked you that question is because this is that invisible cost that we're talking about. And so anyone who knows you and I knows that we're going. And I know we've both been asked so many times, how do you do it? And we always just say, we have a team, we have each other. But the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, is that Adriana was wearing the burnout badge.
I absolutely was. Yeah.
And so that's why this topic is so important, is because we don't want anyone to have the sleepless nights, feel the lack of support, feeling like there's nothing that they can do but continue working on this business. You know, it's like you kind of get stuck in this rut. And so that's why I thought we should talk about this today. And I have faced similar things over the course of the last few years, which is why I started talking to you about my exit. These are difficult decisions that we have to talk about, because if we're going to be honest about how we're building our businesses, like, are we building a business that's going to last 5 years, or are we going to build a business that lasts decades? Now, in my case, I'm looking from decades, right? I want to see you and the rest of the team continue to thrive while I vacation. But then there's going to be that time that comes for you when you're going to start asking these questions too. Do I want to continue this? What does this look like? And so we have to really be prepared to make hard decisions, ask hard questions to ourselves, to each other. And sometimes along the way too, in business, the relationships change too. So let's talk about that for a second. So since the beginning of She Rises Studios time, which we still kind of go back and forth on that too, it's kind of funny. But what would you say has changed relationship-wise? And you did kind of hint to one thing that was a big change for you.
Oh, yeah. For me, and I'll just straight out say it, I got married when I was, 23? I already kind of forget. So a lot of people met James, my husband at that time, and he was a part of the whole thing. Like, he was there since the inception of She Rises Studios, before it was a thing, and he is no longer a part of it. And that definitely feels weird at times, if I really try to sit with it and think about it, which I don't, because why? But other relationships that change over time are a lot of family dynamics, because when you start to tell people what you do for a living, if you have a traditional job, nobody thinks twice. They're just like, oh, cool. Awesome. Power on, right? You tell them you work for yourself and they're like, are you sure about that? Is that what you really want to do? Did you think it through? All the questions, all the doubts come up. And you're like, well, why is that a thing for me when if I had a normal 9 to 5? And it does come from a place of concern, but it also seems to come from a place of insecurity, in my opinion, of them just not knowing that it is possible. But when you have someone like you and I, where we just believe in ourselves so much, we don't let those doubts control who we are. So dynamics in the family change because they start to see shifts that they're uncomfortable with.
Some of our closest family members were like, it won't work. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, we heard it all, including like the jokes in the first, few months of us having this podcast. You're only going to have one listener. And well, yeah, that was wrong. So, but I also think that as an entrepreneur, business owner, we have lost, I don't want to say lost is the wrong word. We've put aside, sometimes sacrificed time with our friends, time doing the things that we love outside of work, because we do love what we do. But there also has to be like this kind of breath, like take a breath, take a beat. Not everything has to be She Rises Studios, or what I call the SRU, She Rises Universe. And so I noticed, it actually happened about a month ago. I was scrolling through my phone looking at photos, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Oh my gosh, I want to go there. Oh, I remember that too. Oh, I need to go back there. And I'm like, but when do we have time? Right? So we do sacrifice our time a lot. And so because of that, oftentimes we are told we're sacrificing relationships for our business. But here's the thing about that. Every time someone writes a book and they publish through us, we're sharing a story. And that's so important. And I believe that we've built a business that doesn't require us to sacrifice our time or miss being able to share someone else's story. Mm-hmm. So I think we have the best of both worlds. However, we didn't have it like that at first.
Correct.
We were burning the candle at both ends, and we both wore the badge of honor of burnout.
Absolutely. This podcast is brought to you by Evolved Clarity. Have you ever felt like the world is changing so quickly that you're expected to reinvent yourself just to keep up? Michelle Beloit believes there is a better way. Through Evolved Clarity, Michelle helps women, especially those navigating midlife, career shifts, AI, and life's many transitions, stop chasing reinvention and begin reclaiming the wisdom they've already earned. Her work is built around one powerful idea: reclaim what matters most. Through her Return to Yourself journal, Your Irreplaceable Edge, and Humans Want Humans, Michelle offers practical guidance to help readers reconnect with their purpose, recognize the value of their lived experience, and move forward with greater clarity, self-trust, and intention. Because your greatest advantage isn't keeping up with every new trend, it's learning how to carry your wisdom into whatever comes next. The journal gives you the page. The books give you the language. The work gives you a way forward. If you're ready to stop chasing reinvention and start building a life and a career rooted in what matters most, visit evolvedclarity.com. This podcast is brought to you by CWG Courageous Woman Global. What if your everyday purchases could help create lasting impact around the world? CWG Courageous Woman Global is excited to announce the upcoming launch of the CWG Store, a unique online shopping experience where purpose meets provision. More than just a store, CWG is built on a simple but powerful belief: we are blessed so that we can bless others. With every purchase made through CWG Store, a portion of the profits are dedicated to supporting Christian ministries and organizations that are sharing hope, strengthening families, protecting life, and advancing the gospel around the world. From supporting ministries that reach communities locally and globally to helping organizations make a meaningful difference in people's lives, every purchase becomes part of a greater kingdom story. As Carmen and Nate Mandel continue their mission of changing lives through faith, leadership, and service, they invite you to be part of something bigger than a transaction. Visit courageouswomanglobal.com and discover how you can help change the world one purchase at a time.
Ooh, what about criticism?
Criticism from just from where? Because it's
I'll let you pick.
It's so hard. It's a loaded question. I think that there's been criticism from, like you said, friends, family, and a lot of it's unspoken. It's energy that you can't describe. It's like, it's the micro expressions in people's faces. It's the way that they react when you say something that may not be a verbal reaction, but it's a physical one. And I pick up on those big time. I've learned to read faces since I was a kid. It's just something I'm very interested in. So I am susceptible to seeing those things. Criticism also comes from the customers and clients themselves a lot of times, because if they have a misunderstanding of what it is that we really do, people try to break things down. They try to judge every little thing. Well, if this was my business, this is how I would do it. And in my head, I'm like, then do that. Like, go do that. But this is how we operate. Every company gets to decide their ethics and their protocols and their boundaries, all of the things. You don't get to constantly fault people because they say, hey, I actually do close at 3:00 or whatever time it is. And you don't get to insistently call just because you have a question. Like, send an email. We'll email you tomorrow.
Oh, those are my favorites. So you set up a protocol, especially about communication, which we did this years ago because it was so excessive. Everyone said, don't give people your phone number. You're a CEO. Boy, I wish I would have listened to that. Because everyone, they'll say, we put the protocol out there, email. Because 1, we don't want to lose any communication. 2, we don't want to be intrusive, right? We do have lives outside of She Rises Studios. And so they always start off with, I know I'm not supposed to text you, but, right? Or I love this one's my favorite. They start in a DM, then they go to the email, and then they go to the text message. It's great. So criticism for me, I think you touched on it when you said how people think we should be doing things. I call them micromanagers, and I think that's sometimes what you say too. When it comes to criticism, I just always say, bet on myself, and you bet on yourself and what we're doing. And the right people will always come along. And so the ones who want to criticize, we don't thank you, because we love positive feedback, but criticism and positive feedback are two different things. So thank you, because it also fuels us to double, triple check things that are happening. But criticism does come from oftentimes someone closest to us. Now, when someone does that, what do you do? What's your go-to?
Well, honestly, my go-to has always been something, and I actually talked about this in a chapter 2 that I wrote. It's something that I call filtering. It's where I let them talk, right? Or just listen. And I filter out the bad and I keep the good. That's always been the thing that I've done, because I've struggled in the past with people with strong personalities and who assert their opinions, and they want you to believe them because they say it with such conviction that it must be true, right? But that's not the case. So I filter them. I ignore the bad and not consume it and make it my truth. And I take the positive parts, like what's the message in that messy tone that they give us, and I carry that forward and turn it into something good.
See, this is why I love her. Me, I just tell them, pump your brakes.
She's like, let's stop there.
What about the victories that we've had that no one sees but you and I?
I would say they come in a lot of little moments where we're like, we tried something, we weren't sure if it's going to work, and then the sign up happens. Or we invested a little bit more time into some employee, and then we see them growing and blossoming, and we're like, oh man, that felt so good. Or we didn't think we were going to get to a destination because of some conflict, whatever the case may be. And then we're there and we're just like basking in the glory of like what's around us, New York or Austin or whatever places we've been to. Those are the moments where we're like, this is why we did what we did. We got to choose those moments, and they're great.
I think one of my biggest victories in all this was when you and I went to New York. I don't remember if it was the first or second time, but anyone who knows me knows I am bat crack crazy about flying. I don't like to fly. I just don't feel like I want to give control to someone else. And so, the trip that you and I were on, we used the plane, the train, the automobile, and the ferry.
And the ferry. And the bus.
And the bus. And it was very like, wow, I did that,
She was terrified.
I was afraid.
She's like, are you sure you know where we're going? Are you sure we're going to be able to do this? I'm like, we're in the United States. We're not out of the country, in a foreign country that we don't speak English. Like, what's going on here? Why are we afraid to use our devices? So we did use our device.
Very true. Very true. But my victory there was just being able to embrace it and go with the flow. And that might sound crazy to some of you, but when you're traveling for work and, no, we're not traveling out of the country, at least that particular time, but still, it's just, to me, I always have this little, I don't know, it's like this little person on my shoulder saying, be careful, make sure you check, da-da-da-da-da. I've watched too many movies. And so when we got to do all of that stuff, I felt liberated, even when that thing moved. Do you remember that?
She's like, is this really moving or is this in my head? We're on a platform that was on the water when we were trying to get to the ferry.
Yep.
And it was moving. It was moving.
It was moving.
Yeah. She did not like that one.
The point is that there's all of these crazy little things that have happened throughout the course of She Rises Studios history. And we have really evolved since day one. What about the moments when you feel like quitting is easier than continuing?
Well, the good thing is, I think I've trained my Instagram to learn my brain, because I always see this quote where it said, if you quit now, how are you going to feel knowing that you're going to have to start all over again? Like when you first started, that feeling. So if we go back to 2020, the thought of starting over again back then, heck no. So I'd rather continue forward and forge forward with where we are now, knowing all of the lessons that we've learned from then till now that give us the tools to find the success. Even if we struggle, I know we're going to be okay.
I feel like when we first started, I can't say this for you, but for me, like I was caught up in comparison because I wanted things to work so badly that I kept comparing like, no, we got to do it better. We got to be the leader. Do you remember?
Yeah, it's not that long ago that mindset was there, but yes.
Rude. But now I'm just so excited about the progress.
Yes.
And nothing about She Rises Studios is perfect. And that in itself is beautiful.
It's a testament to the fact that we know we're going to mess up, but we're going to still try anyways. And I think that message gets across to people. We know we make mistakes. We know that we've made mistakes, but we want to fix them. We want to hear what your guys' input is. How can we do better? We just ask that you guys say it in a nice way because it helps us. We're still human at the end of the day. And, disrespectful, mean tones can really damage people's psyches. So not all of us can filter. It's not as easy as it seems. And so kind communication is
key.
As requested.
What about, this is a big one that most don't talk about, financial pressure.
You mean one of the biggest ones? Like the whole thing? Because that's the whole point is like you don't have a 9-to-5 and you have to figure it out no matter what. It's the hardest part. It makes you have those sleepless nights. It makes you lose your health. It makes you lose your mind a little. It makes you question everything, all the whys, like why did we choose this? Why did this? Why did that? It's hard, but personally speaking, I find it thrilling. I find it fun. I find it exciting, not to have the money, but the challenge of making the money has always been something that was fun for me. Like, hey, can we figure out how to make this amount by this amount of time? And in what ways are we going to do that? But now it's evolved. It's evolved from like the challenge of it to the consistency of it, the impact that we can make with it. So that's been fun also, is to see that transition between like the start versus the consistency and the scaling now. So that's nice.
We did a lot of investing before ever seeing any returns. And I'm sure anyone who's watching and listening to this, you can attest to that. And you are, having to hold all of the entire building together. And sometimes it's with super glue, sometimes it's duct tape, and sometimes it's thread. And so when you're making this decision about becoming an entrepreneur, you have to know that there's financial pressure. And also you have to know how to deal with it so that it doesn't deal with you, because it will come. And anyone who's honest about running a business, this should be something that you should be telling people, is to be open about the financial pressures, talk about it, lean in and support others, and teach people what you learned.
There's no need to gatekeep. We can all succeed. There's enough for everybody.
Like I was thinking about this the other day, like we have a team and I think we have 26 on our team?
There.
Somewhere,
I know,
right?
we was fluctuating.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're so responsible for 26 livelihoods plus ours. And that in itself, if you're just sitting there, wanting to think about life, that thought comes in, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
We're really betting on everything that we say that we want to do, that it's going to work. And so financial cost is also betting on yourself. Even when other people don't believe you, you have to believe in you and you have to be willing to bet on yourself. And what about the impossible decisions? Let's talk about the team, the hiring, the letting go. Those decisions are so tough. And how many times have you and I been like, tug of war, or like we feel bad for when they're not doing their job and we have to let them go, but we feel bad for letting them go. But it's a business, right? Financial pressure comes from underperformance and all of those things. And these are other things that people need to understand when you are responsible for a team. You take care of them, they take care of you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it and what we've learned is that it's super important from the get-go, like to pick the right people. There's a book. Do you remember what it's called? Someone told us about a book about like about picking the right person, because it's not just about filling a seat. You need to invest in the right person. One thing I noticed about our team, it's kind of funny, and I always say this in team meetings, is that they're also quiet and introverts because I hired them. I'm an introvert.
This is true.
I'm quiet. Like I'm by myself. I just do my thing, and they're all like that. So we try to get them to like engage in team meetings, and they're like,
yep,
looking at Hanna and like, are you gonna talk now? It's really funny, super cute. But yeah, building the right team, putting the right people, and fostering their growth, giving them the confidence that they can do it. I love to like kind of switch things up, and I know that they notice that now. So I've moved them in different departments to see where they would do better, because sometimes they don't even think that they're going to be good at something or like it, and then they're great at it and they love it, and then now they want to stay there. So I have fun within my role of doing that because I look for hidden talents. I look for ways that they've excelled, or the opposite. If I see them severely struggling, and instead of just saying, you know what, they're bad at their job, let's let them go. No, let's see what we can do to fix that. Is there an opportunity for that?
Another thing that we don't discuss enough is the emotional cost of being an entrepreneur. Some of those things that come to mind for me is, carrying the weight of everyone depending on you. Self-doubt, it creeps in. I mean, we continue to go, but it does come in here and there. Lonely because of what we do. You said it earlier. Lots of people work 9 to 5s, which there is nothing wrong with that. But when you are running a business or you're an entrepreneur, a lot of people don't understand what it takes. And so when you're trying to talk or lean in for support, you have to be very choosy who you're leaning into support for, because most don't get it. There's a lot of fear that comes in being a business owner. Anxiety is a big one for me. I feel like I look like Hey from Moana half the time at work.
Funny. Yeah, there's some interesting things that happen on your side of the screen. We just hear plops and all the things. I mean,
there's also the family cost.
Yeah.
Like missing moments that we've wanted to be there for, but we have to be responsible entrepreneurs. And for me, balancing motherhood, while running businesses and being a wife, I always hear, Mom, you're always at work. Oh my gosh, Mom. And then I hear my husband, oh my gosh, babe, you're always at work. But when I'm home and I'm doing nothing, their faces are on their phones.
And then you feel alone again.
Yeah.
You felt alone because you're working.
Yes.
And then you felt alone because now you're there and they're doing their thing. And yeah.
So I guess my advice there is find harmony.
Definitely.
Working together as mother and daughter.
What's the question there?
What do you... Well, I mean, there's, like we said in another podcast recently, it isn't all rainbows and sunshine, right? We do get on each other's nerves. Like her famous saying is, we'll just put a pin in it.
That was like one time, guys. She just loves to exaggerate that.
I'm like, I'm going to tell you where to put your pin.
It wasn't even directed at you either. That's the funny thing.
But it's, we have to have some kind of, there has to be trust. There has to be a dynamic. We have to know how to talk to each other, how to address, how to support, how to listen. Right? I could so throw you under the bus.
Do it.
What do you think is the hardest part of working with your mom?
Ooh. The emotional roller coasters. Did you see? I hope that camera caught that micro expression right there. The little twitch of like, what's she going to say? You were scared, huh?
No, not really.
Yeah, the emotional roller coaster. A lot of people don't know. Yes, you're confident, right? You have like a confidence of like, I can go into this room and do anything. But you have this other side.
Oh, yeah?
That you actually have a lot of fears. And when you are in that fear mode and I see it and you retreat and you're like, I can see you go to like, if you were like a kid, if I were there witnessing that, I'm like, oh, she's scared. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's pour it back out slowly, a little bit at a time. So we do a lot of therapy with each other through the work that we do. You do it for me with my confidence, with reminding me like, hey, you did this and you did this, so why are you afraid to do that? I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I'm the type that needs like the hard love, right? And you need the soft, like, let's build a trust, let's build this. So I think for me, it's fun, but there's difficulties. You're your own person, and I can't just tell you what to do and you're just gonna do it, you know? No. This podcast is brought to you by Catherine Traff, Coaching and Ministries. Have you ever found yourself wondering, why doesn't the life I worked so hard to build fit me anymore? Many people believe they need a new strategy, a new job, or a new goal. But what if the real question isn't what you should do next? It's who you are becoming. Catherine Traff is a transformational coach, speaker, and author of the upcoming book, The Identity Gap. Drawing from 17 years working alongside world-renowned neurosurgeons, along with her expertise in neuroscience, mindset, and faith, Catherine helps people navigate seasons of change with clarity, confidence, and purpose. She believes that lasting transformation doesn't begin with changing what you do, it begins with understanding who you are becoming. Because when your old identity no longer fits, it doesn't mean you're broken. It may simply mean you're growing into the person God created you to be. If you're ready to stop wondering what's wrong and start understanding what's possible, visit catherinetraff.com to learn more and schedule a discovery call. Catherine Traff Coaching and Ministries, helping you bridge the identity gap. This podcast is brought to you by the Crown Yourself podcast. What if the biggest thing standing between you and your next level isn't strategy? It's the version of yourself that's trying to get you there. Hosted by Kimberly Spencer, the Crown Yourself podcast is for entrepreneurs, leaders, authors, and visionaries who are ready to stop playing small and start leading with greater clarity, confidence, and purpose. Each episode features powerful conversations with thought leaders, business owners, authors, and experts who share practical wisdom on leadership, visibility, mindset, business growth, transformation, and conscious success. If you ever felt stuck in burnout, pressure, overthinking, or constantly chasing the next strategy, the Crown Yourself podcast offers a different path, one rooted in sovereign leadership. Because true success isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. At Crown Yourself, the mission is to help leaders create a body, business, and life that rules while building success that reflects who they are rather than what consumes who they are. Your reign is now. Subscribe today to the Crown Yourself podcast at crownyourself.com/podcast.
What about like how over the years we've had to learn how to separate business from family?
I feel like we still do that, but we're getting better at it. I think that when I've learned to tell you no, like when I'm at my capacity within the week or the month or whatever, I don't feel as bad anymore to say, hey, yeah, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to go because maybe I had a really tired week. Yeah. And I just, it's nothing against anybody. I'm just tired.
And you know what? It's true. And then I'm like, she really said no. And I'm like, well, good for her. She's sticking to her boundaries.
Yeah. Because I used to go to everything, right? Every time you'd say like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And I would feel so much guilt if I said no. And not to say I don't feel as guilty, but like I just have to put myself first. And then there's the other side too, where the things that I would normally say no to because I was afraid, I push myself now. I try to get myself out there. I try to grow the confidence part. And a lot of it is your voice in my head from those times where you surprised me, you took me to these places and I ended up loving it. Like those masterminds or certain people I didn't know I was going to meet or just whatever the case is. I'm like, she hasn't steered you wrong. Just do it. Like
that's funny. I did hijack her one day and told her we were going to breakfast, and then I took her to a mastermind.
It was great.
But the mastermind had breakfast, so
I did.
And she was like, "Wow, that was great." I'm like, What about the leadership cost? Making unpopular decisions.
I feel like internally with the team, I don't struggle with that too much on my side. I think I've built a lot of trust with them. To the point where if I make a decision, they're like, we should probably be pulling them, honestly. I feel like they get a sense that I think things through. So I would say, although it's hard, I've taught them, if you really have doubt in what I'm saying or what you're saying, ask us. Like, try to find out. I give them the space to question it a little bit, because maybe I didn't fully explain the why behind the change. But at the end of the day, if we make that decision, we have to implement it. There was a reason that we did it. So some team members are more vocal than others. Some have really, stepped up and said, hey, I don't know if you thought about this part because it affects this. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't. And so then we altered that decision. So there's been those moments, and it's great.
I agree. I'm like, oh my gosh, thanks for catching that, because I actually didn't. It happens a lot to me. What about the success that nobody talks about? Let's talk about that. We've talked about, the cost of things, but there's some beautiful things in entrepreneurship, right? So I feel like a lot of people think that you have this insane amount of freedom.
Yeah.
We could break that down. We could save that for another episode. But there is freedom in entrepreneurship. What you say goes. What you build is what you build, right? We have the freedom to decide to stay consistent. We have the freedom to decide to go invisible. The freedom is there, right? But it's how we use it. Is there anything that comes to mind when we're talking about the success of freedom that comes to mind for you?
The reason that entrepreneurship was kind of like built in and instilled within me specifically is that I noticed with my previous line of work, the 9-to-5 stuff, I struggled with just trusting that people had my best interest. I had managers that were really poor managers, and they just took out their emotional state on the workers, regardless of what position, like if they're literally above you or not, whether they're just peers. They brought their home life to their work life. And I've always been good at separating the two. If I'm working, I want to work. I want to produce. I want to do something that makes me feel fulfilled and satisfied. So I always knew, and I started my freelance business at 18. So there was always like those two things where I worked for a company, but I also worked for myself. And the freedoms that I enjoyed very much is like what you said, getting to say no to things that normally you wouldn't be able to. Getting to decide who you work with, and then running this kind of a business, I get to pick who we hire. I don't have to keep the mean people. I don't have to keep the bullies who get away with stuff because nobody's paying attention to them and they're getting away with being abusive. So for me, it's a different type of freedom. It's like creating the space that I always wanted back then for myself. I want to create a safe space.
I think the impact, the success, like watching the impact of what we're doing in the world, I think that we've made significant impact. When a random stranger that you've never met walks up to you and tells you, thank you, you've done something right. And when the relationships, like we have met some extraordinary men and women along the way who I wholeheartedly believe we will continue to support them, work with them for many, many years to come. And so I think there's very valuable relationships that we've built. And to me, that's a win. That's a success story in itself. Watching our clients succeed. Like there's so many client success stories that I can think of maybe that's what we should do. We should start like having, you got my hamster wheels turning.
She did it to herself.
She gave me credit. I do that all the time. What about building something that outlives the both of us?
I think that that's something that we're doing as a team. So because we do listen to them and we give them a space to do their pitches, like when we have our team meetings, we come up with some creative ways to like let them showcase their ideas. A lot of times we've learned from them just as much as they've learned from us. So we're building the longevity because we're creating elements that can be scalable, that can be automated, and that ultimately they're important at the end of the day. What we do is important. So it's going to keep living on. It's just, how do we want it structured? How do we want to continue to foster innovation in everything that we do? So that's, to me, instilling it within our team members. That mindset of like, what you say matters, what you do here matters, and it's a ripple effect because when they train someone, they're training that mindset as well.
Very true. We have a great team, and I think that, a lot of them have been with us for years, some since almost day one, which is, that kind of speaks for itself. I'm going to rapid fire a question to you.
Okay, I'm ready, I think.
What do you think has been the hardest part of building what we've built together?
Dang, rapid fire, huh? The hardest part. Ooh, that's hard. I'm sorry, it's not fast. I think that we have a lot of difference in vision sometimes, so we can butt heads there. But we've always found a way to kind of like combine the two things together. We find harmony in it, but at first it can appear difficult.
What advice would you give someone today who is just starting out in business?
I would say talk to someone else who's been 5 years at least in business, because they're going to take some time to sit down with you and really give you the pros and the cons. And they're going to help you to see if you starting that business really will be something that can blossom or not. Like, they're going to give you the tips, the tricks, hey, don't do that because it's going to cause this type of thing. And it's your choice whether you want to actually listen to that advice or not. But I think that had I not been around individuals all my life who were entrepreneurs, I wouldn't have been able to do what we've been able to do. I learned so much from family who have been entrepreneurs. I learned a lot from startup companies that I worked for and saw the struggles that they went through. And it made a world of a difference when you and I started together. So mentorship?
Mentorship, yes. I think for me, there was this moment, I think it was in 2024, when I thought everything was going to fall apart. 2024 was, I believe, our hardest year. And I think we both tried to call in sick to each other. I think that we both wondered, is this worth it? And looking back now, and this is all about the invisible cost of building an empire. Looking back now, had we quit, which most people would have.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
I'm telling you, we got muscles. The gun show. If we had quit then, the current men and women that we work with would not have shared their stories. The changes that we've made in the world, the ripple effect that we've had wouldn't have happened. And some of the things that you and I have been able to experience as mother and daughter wouldn't have happened. And the same thing for our team and the same thing for our families. And so I kind of want to circle this back to the cost, the invisible cost of owning your own business, but also the success. So the freedom. So we've had the freedom to take the trips. We've had the freedom to take our family. We've had the freedom to say no. And trust me when I tell you that's a good word to use sometimes.
Yes.
So before we close this out, if people were to ask you now, what keeps you going when things get hard, what would your answer be today?
I think all the hard work I put in, to me, makes it worth it to keep going. Like, I don't want to discard that. There's so many things that we went through, and it's not a waste to me. I think that the biggest thing I've been learning is that every mistake that we've ever made is not a failure. It's wisdom that we're collecting as we go, so that way we can make better decisions in the future.
Yeah, I agree. We have a wise friend who said, you either win or you learn. The only time you fail is when you quit. And so the cost, or the invisible cost of entrepreneurship, you determine what it is. And that's the reality.
I agree. It really is.
So for those who are just starting out, decide what you want. For those who are midway through, you still need to decide what you want next. And for those who are planning the exit, plan on what you want next for your exit. And so there's phases of entrepreneurship. And so we have the freedom and the choice to decide our success, our wins, our learns. It really does come back on us, because no one else controls what we do unless we give them that control.
Exactly.
So I think it's pretty exciting. So the invisible cost of building an empire is real. It does require courage. It requires faith, sacrifice, resilience, and an unwavering belief in yourself and what you're doing. Because if you're willing to pay the price, you're not just building a business. You are building opportunities. You are building communities for others. You are creating generational impact and leaving a legacy that will continue long after you're gone. And that is the beauty of building an empire. So we've talked a little bit about everything. I think we covered a lot. And so thank you for joining us on She Rises Studios podcast. My name is Hanna Olivas, and I am here with Adriana today.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Until next time.